Well, it is very, very early in the morning, but there is a spring in our step because the NBL 25 season is just around the corner. And by just around the corner, I mean tomorrow. It all starts in Perth with Melbourne and Tasmania opening the season. I said it's very early in the morning because I'm Jack Heverin. Derek Rucker is joining me. We've got early flights to catch Ruck, so this is in Aussie terms, this is a sparrow's fart edition of NBL Now. Welcome to you.
Thanks, Jack, and it's great to be here again. And man, it's been an exciting off season. We had a great time at the Blitz, but now it's time to get into the real stuff. And I don't know about you, but I'm overly excited.
And for those watching on YouTube or our other platforms, it shows you how early it is. It's still dark in Derek's background at the moment. So this is very, very early. Hey, Ruck, let's start with Tasmania. They were, I guess, the significant story of yesterday. Scott Roth spoke to the media and spoke about multiple injuries, declared that this is going to be such a big challenge for Tasmania early on. And to paraphrase him, basically said that all of the things that he didn't want to happen in the preseason have happened.
And this is the problem about trying to defend your title and repeat. There are so many variables just away from other teams putting a target on your back and coming after you and you being the biggest team that they're going to face, week to week. Like, we understand all those cliches, but then there's the real hardcore stuff, which they're facing now, specific to this season, where they went up to the Blitz and played some games. They tried to get some preseason games, and that didn't quite go to fruition. And then they had to travel to Singapore, and they did an outstanding job in the Intercontinental Cup, coming third there. But it's the demand, and it's the travel, and it's the burden. And there are still some new pieces in there that they're trying to work out. Craig Ford got injured up at the Blitz. So Scott Roth was challenged before he left the country to go to Singapore, and now coming back with a number of games, which was great for Australian basketball. It was great for the NBL. It was great for the JackJumpers brand. But the reality is, coming into 2 days or, tomorrow evening, they've got to come into that game against Melbourne United and give a very hungry and talented Melbourne United all they have to win the game. It's a huge challenge, Jack.
Sean McDonald is the latest injury concern coming out of the Intercontinental Cup. It looked like an awkward fall on a leg or ankle. We don't know at this stage what it looks like for him. Let's just talk a little bit about Scott Roth, the coach here, Ruck. He has been lauded for everything that he's done here in the NBL for the 3 seasons with the JackJumpers. But is this one of his biggest tests that we've seen so far with what he's got available and the situation that's going on to try and eke some wins out early in the season?
I think so. And look, we know that he's a very capable and talented coach. He's someone that coaches with a lot of discipline, and he's very stern, but also his players seemingly love playing for him. And right now, coming off a championship when expectations are high, there are a couple of ways to look at it, I guess. You could lay back as a coach and say, well, I've got my championship. I've proven my worth as a coach. We've been to 2 championship series and made a deep run. I'm good here for this year. Maybe I take it easy. I don't think Scott Roth is made like that. He's going to try and find whatever is required to get this team competitive from the jump. Again, I'll repeat, though, they're going up against Melbourne United. The team that I don't want to say stole, but man, Jack, we were there. They stole that championship from Melbourne United in that game 5. And Melbourne United are going to be juiced up. And right now it's up to Roth to motivate his troops, rally them around, and just try and get that defend the island collective mentality, that fighting spirit going right now.
Just one on Roth before we finish on Tasmania. Does he have a trick up his sleeve? Is there something that we in Melbourne United won't be expecting? Is it Ruben Tarangi playing starters minutes in game 1? Does he throw the ball to Brody Nunn or someone early in the game and kind of go, here's your opportunity, kid? Like, is there something in there for Tasmania that they can throw at Melbourne that they won't be expecting?
Well, remember going into the championship series last season, Jack, Andrew Gaze and I predicted a slowed down or slower paced version offense from Tasmania. And Scott Roth did exactly the opposite. He declared his intentions in game 1. Now, it didn't work in game 1, but it did pan out to his advantage over the course of the series. Now, what can they do coming into this game? Maybe they change the tempo defensively. Maybe they alter the starting lineup. But I think they've got to give the car keys to Doyle and Crawford. Those two guys have to be super aggressive. We know that they're talented players, but they've got to get after it in this first game and kind of set the tone for the season that they're going to be able to produce points. Because if you look at the lineup, I think on the offensive end, they could be challenged this year to put up points.
Let's talk Melbourne United, their opponents. How important is Marcus Lee to this team? We know what we're going to get with Golding, with Dellavedova, with their bench, which is so deep, and Shaylee's going to dive on every single loose ball. But the centre position this time last year, they had Joe Luala-Chul and Ariel Hook-Porty getting ready to go. This time around, it's Marcus Lee and the veteran Rob Lowe.
Massive gaps to fill with the big guys, JLA and Hook-Porty not being in the lineup. Marcus Lee is a really good import in our competition. He suits the league very well. He shoots a high percentage from the field. He keeps it simple. He's an outstanding rim protector and defensive player. Every game he plays in, he benefits his team. The only problem is he's been somewhat fragile. He misses games. And the other big thing, Jack, he gets in foul trouble. I don't think Melbourne United can afford to play too many games without Marcus Lee at their disposal and having an impact because he's such a positive rating guy. Now, if he is out of the lineup for any of those reasons, there's a lot of pressure on Rob Lowe and there is a lot of pressure on Jack White to play bigger than he actually is. Now, those guys are more than capable of it, but I much prefer, if I'm Melbourne United, to have Marcus Lee healthy and ready to go. And I think they're kind of coming in as a little bit of a sleeper because of the loss of JLA and Hook-Porty. I think they're a huge danger team.
To Adelaide, there's been a lot going on with the Adelaide 36ers in this offseason. We've spoken about it a stack on NBL now with some of our emergency additions, but this is a positive. Jarrell Martin's injury is not a positive, but bringing in Montrezl Harrell is a major positive. He landed in South Australia. He's in the country and he's ready to go. And from all reports, we'll play Sunday against the Kings.
Well, that'd be a very exciting news, not only for the Adelaide 36ers and their supporters, but I'm really keen to see what he does in this league. This is a guy who was Sixth Man of the Year not too long ago, Jack. How does he play in our league now? And we know he's a fiery, he's a hot-tempered guy. He's going to bring a lot of passion and enthusiasm. And again, that's another thing. How will that be accepted, not only by other players in the league, but let's be real. How are our officials going to handle a guy with the physical nature and temperament of a Montrezl Harrell? I think he's going to make a tremendous positive swing to Adelaide. He's certainly, I'm not sure they could have found a better fit so quickly. And I give them credit for making the decision fast, because I think we've been critical over the time lag that has taken them over the past couple of seasons to make decisions and then activate them.
Do you see him and Humphreys playing meaningful minutes next to each other?
Jack, they have to. They have to.
I kind of knew the answer to that question already.
Adelaide, they're not one of the more talented rosters from 1 to 10, okay? So they need 1 through 6, 1 through 7 to be really at a high level to be able to compete on a consistent basis. And obviously, Montrez fits in there. He and Humphreys, I think they'll play well together. Isaac is a low-maintenance player. I thought at the Blitz, when Adelaide got focused, and again, this is a familiar refrain, when they get him the ball, he's very effective. And I think maybe in the final game there, they figured out how to make that happen. Sorry, not in the final game, because they got blown out by about 50 or 60. It was the second to last game where they were effective in utilizing Isaac Humphreys.
What do you think about the Taipans, Ruck, heading into round one, and the fact that they, at this stage, don't have a ball handler? Taron Armstrong to miss a couple of weeks with a calf issue. Jackson McCoy is suspended for an indiscretion that he had prior to arriving at the Taipans. What does this look like on Saturday?
I think Rob Edwards has to be your guy. He's got to be extremely dynamic. He has to be able to score the ball, run the offense, shoot the ball well, get others involved, and bring some intangibles like leadership, focus, determination, all those types of things that Adam Ford would be extremely pleased if he can deliver on opening night and early in the season. Taron Armstrong, that's just a huge loss, Jack. And I hope he's able to get on top of his injuries, because this is almost a replay of last year where he got hurt early and never got his season on track. And for someone who's so talented, it's just unfortunate for him and the Taipans peeps that he can't get himself healthy and ready for the start of the season.
I mentioned Hoops Fest. It's where we're headed. We're going to head to the airport very shortly. You're in Brisbane. I'm in Melbourne. We're going to meet in Perth and have a fantastic weekend of hoops. What are you expecting?
Well, we know Perth do big events well historically, and I think there's a clamor out there for success. It's been a minute now for the Wildcats fans and the Red Army. A few other things have happened in the offseason. I don't think they're too happy about Bryce Cotton being number 2 on the top 15 list.
You reckon?
And so I'm sure that, the public is going to come out Friday night when the Wildcats play is going to be an experience. I'm really looking forward to that. And I think the whole week is going to be exciting. We got WNBL warm-up games. We got the under-18 club championships. We got the sneaker convention. There's a lot going on. And off the back of the Blitz, I think it's just been an exciting fortnight or so for the NBL. And, as you can tell, at this early of an hour in the morning, I am hyped up. I'm ready to go, man.
I've got a horrible feeling that I'm going to have to be your bodyguard again, just like I was last year at Kudos Bank Arena when a certain little New Zealand point guard didn't like what you had to say, Ruck. I feel like I'm going to have to do it all again. This time we're taking on an entire state. You had him at number 2.
I know. And actually, let's touch on number 3, PJC and the New Zealand Breakers real quickly. A lot of people are downplaying what they're going to look like this season. But let me tell you, at the end of that tournament, Matthew Mooney showed me something. That guy's a really good player. And if you get him and PJC cooking together out there, 2 guards in this league that can impact the game and be game winners on any given night, like, that's some serious potency. Now, we know Freddie Gillespie lost his mind and went headbutt central on Sean Bruce's forehead. So they'll be without him for a minute. But when they get all their pieces together, Jack, I wouldn't sleep on New Zealand.
I can't wait. Hoops Fest, it all starts tomorrow with Melbourne and Tasmania to open the season. The Wildcats in action on Friday night. And don't forget, of course, for all of our listeners on NBL Now, back on Channel 10 on Sunday, Ruck. You and I will be in the house for Sydney and Adelaide. That is going to be a big occasion for the NBL to be back on free-to-air TV. Have a safe flight. I'll see you in a few hours.
Sure thing, Jack.
Thanks for joining us on NBL Now. Don't forget nbl.com.au, and the NBL app is where you need to go for all of the latest news, information, and everything happening around Hoops Fest.